General Hospital spoilers for Thursday, June 12 reveal that Elizabeth is taking care of patients at General Hospital, a job that she has always done with dedication and professionalism. However, while she is dedicated to her daily duties, a series of changes in her personal life are dragging her into a new predicament. Elizabeth and Lucky's relationship, which once had happy moments, is now facing a series of serious problems, making it impossible for her to maintain a balance between work and family life. The new adjustments in their relationship are not just small changes but major challenges that put both of them in a complicated situation that is difficult to resolve immediately. Lucky, who was once an important companion in Elizabeth's life, has now become a factor that makes her feel stressed. His recent actions and decisions are creating problems that Elizabeth cannot easily ignore. Lucky's changing personality and attitude make their relationship complicated and unstable. Misunderstandings, lack of communication, and unresolved feelings lead to a distance between the two that Elizabeth never thought possible. However, now, Lucky is the one who is preventing her from maintaining the stability she always wanted, while Elizabeth is focusing on her work to maintain some peace in her life. Lucky's problems are turning everything upside down. Lucky's bad decisions, although not always malicious, are dragging Elizabeth into a spiral that she cannot control. She begins to feel tired of not only having to deal with the stress of work but also struggling with the personal problems that Lucky creates. She wants to help him, but things seem to become more and more complicated and difficult, leaving her feeling like she cannot find a way out. This becomes even more serious when the relationship between Elizabeth and Lucky is not just a series of misunderstandings but now a problem that is not easy to fix. Lucky's actions, although they may come from his deep feelings, are causing Elizabeth to be unable to stand. His decisions about family matters, love, and even events that Elizabeth could not have foreseen, are causing a great shock to her. Every time they try to talk, old wounds are reopened, and every attempt to resolve the problem leads to a new failure. Elizabeth begins to feel like she is losing control, and her relationship with Lucky seems beyond repair. This story is proving to be one of the new adjustments on General Hospital, where the characters are unable to maintain stability in their relationships. Elizabeth, who has always been the pillar of her family, is now faced with a painful reality. She cannot continue to solve problems without support from others. She wants to keep her family together, but Lucky's troubles make all her efforts meaningless. This leads to a situation Elizabeth could not have foreseen, when her life begins to divide between work and family life. Not only that, but throughout this story, Elizabeth also has to face changes in herself. The tension between family and work makes her wonder if she can continue to be the pillar of her family without losing herself. Every day for Elizabeth is a struggle to maintain her career in the hospital and maintain her relationship with Lucky, but everything seems to be falling apart. She can't help but wonder if she's been so focused on work and family that she's forgotten about herself, forgetting that sometimes change is inevitable and a part of life. This change isn't just about the tensions in her family, it's about how Elizabeth deals with major challenges in her life. When Lucky is no longer the rock she can rely on, she begins to find a way to stand on her own. But this puts her in a difficult position, as the relationships around her begin to crumble, and Elizabeth feels alone in her own life. The story of Elizabeth and Lucky unfolds on an unexpected journey, as changes in family relationships are not only emotional challenges but also lessons in strength, perseverance, and sacrifice. This story is not only about a personal struggle but also an exploration of finding balance between work, family, and yourself. Ava, one of the characters who always carries sharp calculations and power in her hands, has just extended an invitation to Nina, and this has opened a big turning point in General Hospital. Although it seems like a simple invitation, in fact, this is part of Ava's carefully calculated strategy, a move that no one can ignore without facing the potential consequences. This story is not only a change in the relationship between Ava and Nina but also the beginning of a complex and tense underground struggle, when each of their steps can lead to big shocks that cannot be predicted. Ava's invitation to Nina is not just a surface change but a deep calculation, opening a series of changes in the dynamics of both. Ava, who is known for her sharpness and always has a wise plan, never does anything without a deep purpose. This invitation is definitely not a casual or simple meeting, but is actually part of a grand plan that Ava has prepared. For some reason, Ava is trying to drag Nina into a power game that not everyone can participate in without being caught up in great risks. This makes their relationship even more complicated, as both have their own motives and goals, but have to face each other in a calculating world. However, while Ava seems to be in control of the situation, Nina is not someone who can be easily manipulated. This invitation is not just a simple interaction but a hidden confrontation, where Nina will have to decide whether she wants to step into the risky game that Ava is drawing for herself. The consequences of the past, hidden secrets, and undisclosed conspiracies may put Nina in a difficult situation, forcing her to face inevitable truths. This story is not just a relationship between two women but also part of a larger power struggle, where each of their decisions and actions can completely change the course of the story. This gradually proves a new adjustment in the relationship of the characters in General Hospital. Ava, with her sophisticated plan, is dragging Nina into a game whose outcome no one can predict. Whether Nina wants it or not, every step in this confrontation can lead to an outcome that neither of them can foresee. Ava's calculation is creating a big shock for Nina, as everything is becoming uncontrollable. This story shows that in the world of General Hospital, nothing is certain and every decision can lead to big changes, affecting not only the characters themselves but also the people around them. Ava and Nina's relationship is now not just a power struggle but a struggle for influence, where every move carries a great risk. Ava's invitation is not only a subtle touch on Nina's greed for power but also a test, forcing Nina to make a decision. Join this power play or confront the plots Ava is orchestrating. This story is not just about the change in personal relationships but also an extension of a power game, in which each character can be caught up in a struggle with no way back. But this also proves to be a new danger. Ava's invitation is not just a simple interaction but a provocation. An invitation to participate in a game whose outcome can change not only Ava and Nina themselves but also the entire landscape of relationships on General Hospital. These risks come not only from the outside but also from each character's own miscalculations. Every step, every decision in this war could cost them everything they hold dear, from their families to the relationships they have spent their lives building. As the story continues, the interactions between Ava and Nina will become more and more intense, as they are forced to face risky choices and unforeseen consequences. Secrets will be revealed, conspiracies will be carried out, and a high-stakes power struggle will erupt, making things crazier than ever. The relationship between Ava and Nina, already complicated, will now gradually become part of a larger power play, where each character can be caught up in unpredictable risks. Michael and Willow's court hearing is taking place in a tense and volatile atmosphere, as recent events have made things more chaotic than ever. More than just a simple custody battle, this confrontation is the beginning of a new wave, as untold secrets begin to rise to the surface. One of the big secrets that is shaking up the story is Nina and Drew's affair. When this truth is exposed, not only their relationship but also Michael and Willow's entire family is caught in a dangerous whirlwind of change. These secrets not only crack family relationships but also create extremely intense legal challenges, with Nina and Drew not only hiding their relationship but also keeping the shady circumstances surrounding it under wraps. This affair not only hurts those involved but also deeply affects those around them, especially Michael and Willow. This story of betrayal, long hidden, now becomes a defining factor in the hearing. Everything Michael and Willow have worked to rebuild is suddenly threatened, as Nina and Drew's past decisions begin to have serious implications for their well-being and the future of their children. These circumstances are pushing Michael into a battle not only with family figures but also a legal custody battle that no one is prepared to face. At the same time, new complications begin to emerge, especially when Diane and Rick, two important figures in the legal system and the family, are drawn into the story. Diane, with her extensive experience as a lawyer, is now faced with unforeseen events. She must not only handle complex legal cases but also adjust her approach in a contentious custody battle. Diane must not only confront the truth about Nina and Drew's affair, but also reconsider her legal strategy, as the revelations could change the course of the case. Can she adjust her strategy to win back the children and protect her family, or will the truth about her shady dealings cause everything to collapse? Rick, who is no outsider to the case, seems to have a special role to play when things start to get messy. With his own ambitions and schemes, Rick is not afraid to stand up for himself, and sometimes his personal interests may run counter to those of the children. Rick's actions will add to the tension in the hearing, as he is caught between complicated family relationships and a legal power struggle. This makes the story even more unpredictable, as each decision Rick makes could completely change the outcome of the custody battle, and affect the entire Courtroom and Corinthos families. This situation also raises an important question. Can these characters find a way to reconcile love, family, and important legal decisions? Every change in the lives of Michael, Willow, Nina, Drew, Diane, and Rick is being driven by factors beyond their control, creating a tense environment where every move, every word can lead to major shocks. And as secrets continue to be revealed, the story becomes more and more complicated, leading to difficult and conflicting decisions that no one could have foreseen. This story is going further and further than Drew, Nina, and the characters involved originally planned. Their past plots and missteps are now having unforeseen consequences, as the custody battle becomes not just a legal battle, but also a battle of power, loyalty, and betrayal. Every step in this story is a step into a space of uncertainty and complexity, where everything that seemed certain can change in a moment. The new adjustments in the story are not only about personal rights but also about family values, honesty, and protecting children. This story is sure to take a crazy turn as the characters begin to face truths they don't want to know and decisions that will change their lives. Alexis swallowed in fear, anxiety spreading through her body as she watched Christina's increasingly insane actions. Not only was things spiraling out of Alexis' control, but it was also becoming an inevitable internal crisis. Christina, the daughter Alexis had spent her entire life protecting and raising, was now the one throwing the family into chaos. Christina's increasingly reckless and impulsive actions were stirring up a terrible fear in Alexis, as she realized that her daughter was slowly losing the composure she had always tried to instill. It was not only a shock to Alexis, but the entire family seemed to be facing the harsh reality that what they had once considered certain was now slowly falling apart. This story was not just about Christina's insane actions, but also a profound change in her personality and decisions. Christina used to be a woman who could easily stay calm in most situations. However, things seemed to be changing. From family quarrels to wrong decisions that she cannot foresee, Christina is gradually sinking deeper into confusion and disorientation. And facing this is Alexis, a mother who not only has to deal with the strained relationship between herself and her daughter, but also worries about the future of Christina, a girl she cannot recognize anymore. This feeling of helplessness makes Alexis unable to stop worrying about what will happen next, when Christina is no longer someone she can trust or control. This makes Alexis feel even more confused when she realizes that every decision Christina makes not only affects her life but also impacts the whole family, especially Alexis's relationship with other relatives. Christina's actions are becoming a new reckoning in this family life, but not a wise reckoning but a risk that Alexis cannot predict. Each of Christina's actions creates new waves in the family, making everything more complicated and more difficult to control than ever. Christina's wrong decisions seem to be getting her into a situation she cannot escape from. And Alexis cannot help but feel that this change will not only affect her relationship with her daughter but also the entire family life. This story is proving that big changes never come easily. Each change in Christina's behavior not only creates anxiety for Alexis but also makes everything in the family more distant, more difficult to fix. Alexis realizes that no matter how hard she tries, she cannot adjust things the way she wants. She is faced with the painful truth that love and protection are not always enough to keep the people you love from making bad decisions. Especially in Christina's case, when she starts doing crazy things without thinking carefully. Alexis is not only worried about what will happen to her daughter but also afraid that these consequences will push the family into a situation that no one can save. While Alexis is struggling with the difficulties in this mother-daughter relationship, things seem to be going further as new shocks keep coming. Every time Christina makes a new decision, she creates another storm in the family. The relationship between them seems to be impossible to return to the way it was before, as Christina's loss of control has led to cracks in Alexis' heart. This is not only an emotional change but also a test of Alexis' faith and patience. She couldn't help but wonder, had her daughter really changed beyond recognition? Or was she just facing the challenges that any parent faces as their child grows up? What was worrying was that, while Alexis struggled with these complex emotions, she couldn't find help from those around her. Other relationships in the family are also being affected, and Alexis feels alone in this fight. Not only does she have to deal with Christina's lack of control over her actions, but she also has to deal with her own sketchy formulas. Whether she can continue to be the strong mother her daughter needs. What Christina is doing is leading them to a point where Alexis cannot turn back. And each misstep Christina makes is taking them further away from family harmony. This story is proving that nothing is simple when one of the most loved ones starts acting without good thinking. Each of Christina's decisions is creating an insurmountable barrier for Alexis, and she may be facing a battle not only to maintain the safety of the family but to regain trust in her own daughter. Christina's change in action not only pushes things into the evil blood but also creates a big shock, when all the relationships that seemed certain start to lung. This story is not only about the mother-daughter relationship but also about the pain of a mother when witnessing her daughter lost her way and not being able to help her return to the direction. Rick has admitted his mistakes and the troubles he caused in the past, but this is only the beginning of a complicated and dangerous chain of complications. This story does not only revolve around Rick confessing many mistakes, but also opens up a new calculation that is taking place, creating changes that could not have happened before in the lives of the characters. Rick's current calculation has exploded a series of conflicts and solidifications that no one could have prepared for before. The relationship between Rick, Michael, and Carly, though built on a difficult and complex foundation, is now at a crisis point as Rick's actions are putting both characters in a dangerous and tense situation. Rick, with his scheming and strategic mind, has always had a way of creating characters who face difficult challenges. However, his recent decisions are slowly taking things too far. Rick's calculations are not just his own wisdom, but also part of a larger power struggle. A battle that involves not only family but also the larger relationships on General Hospital. Michael and Carly, despite being characters who have been through a lot in the past, now face a shock that they could not have predicted. As Rick makes his calculations, everything seems to become out of their control, and their lives begin to fall into a dangerous situation. Michael, who has always been resilient and always tried to keep things stable in the family, now has to face the fact that everything is slowly slipping away from him. Rick's calculations are not just steps in a family war but decisions that can completely change the course of Michael's life. Each move of Rick not only adds to the tension in Michael and Carly's relationship but also pushes them into a dangerous legal battle, when they cannot control what is happening around them. Carly, a woman who always fights for her family and is willing to face any challenge, cannot avoid the influence of Rick's calculations. Rick's actions not only cause Carly to face an emotional crisis but also a struggle for power and protection of the family. Rick's new calculations, although made for personal purposes, now put Carly and Michael in a dangerous situation that they cannot control. Carly not only has to face the tensions in the family but also has to think about the decisions that will affect the lives of her children and family. This story is not only about Rick's calculations but also a reflection of the troubles that the characters on General Hospital face when intrigue and calculations cannot be controlled. The changes in the Courtroom and Corinthos families are now not only personal problems but also power struggles and big decisions about the future. As Rick's calculations become increasingly clear, not only will Michael and Carly have to face them, but their entire family will be drawn into a crisis from which they will have no easy way out. This story proves that in a world as full of intrigue and conspiracy as General Hospital, nothing is certain. Every decision, every action can have far-reaching and life-changing effects for the characters. As Rick begins to unravel his calculations, it becomes not just a family struggle but a battle of power and loyalty. Michael and Carly, while trying to keep their spirits up and protect their family, cannot avoid the danger that Rick is creating, as things slowly go too far from their original calculations. This new danger is not only about the family relationships being disrupted but also about the psychological and legal shocks that the characters face. As Rick continues to manipulate the situation, no one can predict the final outcome. Things are shaping up to be not just a custody battle, but a battle for the survival of the family relationships on General Hospital. Rick's every move could be the defining moment for what Michael and Carly will face, and this story will continue to unfold with unpredictable twists and turns.